Good, very good.
Yeah. So where are you now, Father?
Well, I am back in Bhutan for the last 4 years.
Okay.
Back to my home country, and I am at the moment somewhere very close to the border between Bhutan and Bogaigaon Diocese.
Okay. Very nice.
If I go by car for 1 hour, I would be in Bogaigaon Diocese in Assam.
Okay.
But at the moment, last 2 years, they have not been able to go back and forth. The borders are closed.
Okay. Yeah. I think I had been to Bongaigaon when I'd come for vocation promotion there, Father.
Okay. All right. Yes. Yeah, they are. The bishop there is quite open and quite nice gentleman.
Okay. Roshan, how are you?
Yes, good
After
evening.
so many years.
Simon. Yes. For long years, right?
Yeah, after long years. You're doing philosophy and I was theology, you know?
Yes. You're in final year. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So where are you now, Roshan?
In the novitiate.
Okay.
Kalimpong. Yeah.
Oh, very great.
Yeah. How about you? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Baroda.
Oh, Baroda. Okay.
Yeah, doing the work of vocation promotion now.
Oh, it's a full-time vocational promotion.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
For the Jimmy Darby has not yet come.
Yes, he has not joined yet.
My professor.
Very good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to this evening, beautiful evening. This is the 4th episode of A Calling, and we are focusing today on Gujarat province, Darjeeling province. You will not find Father Jimmy Davi because he is not available, but he has recorded his video and we will be sharing his testimony with you all. So I welcome all the panelists and I thank them for taking time out so that they can share something about their experience. And this will be a recorded event, so we can share it with all your province members who may not be able to kind of come in today. So it can be used for vocation promotion. I now invite the anchor for today, Ruel Paul. All know him very well. He's from Darjeeling province. So he's going to handle the entire event today. So Ruel Paul, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Joshua. Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. So good evening, fathers, and all the members who have joined us online. This is a congregation in the cloud, so to speak. And it's wonderful to see our senior Jesuits, younger Jesuits, and an inspiration in their own ways to many of us. As Joshua mentioned, this is the 4th edition of A Calling, and we are living, in one sense, in a historic time, celebrating the 500th year anniversary of the conversion of St. Ignatius. Perhaps this moment, another 500 years, and we may not be around, but to share in that joy by partaking of each other's journey and the presence of God in our life is truly a blessed moment. Therefore, I welcome you. And to begin with, we turn our minds and hearts to God and seek for His blessing. May I request everyone to pause for a moment and put ourselves in the presence of God, the same God who has called us, continues to sustain us, and who has brought us here to share with one another how He has been active in our lives. Dear fathers, friends, and collaborators, we are also at the threshold of this beautiful festival of Christmas. And what should a Jesuit Christmas be like? And I'm very touched to read out to you this poem that has just recently been published in the G1 magazine. May we take these words for our prayer. A Jesuit Christmas that we will celebrate is going to be profoundly simple. Extraordinary happens in an ordinary way. God becomes man. Heaven and earth are now holy. A Jesuit Christmas is here and now, locked in libraries or in open room. He finds Him everywhere and in everything. It is a Christmas story every day, finding God in all things. Jesuit Christmas is a contradiction. He must contemplatively near the manger. He must run to share the good news. Christmas shows a new road his home, a contemplative in action. A Jesuit Christmas is the greatest gift, giving. He brings his gift of take and receive. Into that freedom of Christmas he lives, joy that this world cannot give, from spirituality of freedom. With these sentiments, and also thanking Father Kinley, who has authored this poem, may we enter into this sharing in a profoundly simple way, with depth, with magnanimity, to listen to one another. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Fathers and friends, it's going to be very simple. The modalities are known to many of you who have been following this initiative of the Digital Jesuits. And we have 4 speakers today. And we were thinking of beginning with the Gujarat province. And since Father Jimmy has already done his bid in recording his message, may I request Father Simon Thomas, if you could begin, one of the younger ones in the panel, apart from Roshan. Father Simon, I'm told, is from Kerala, but he is a member of the Gujarat province, ordained in 2012, and he's a full-time vocation promoter. Father, I welcome you, and at the same time, I request you to start this wonderful sharing. Over to you, Father.
Thank you, Revel, for this opportunity. Also, thank you for this opportunity to be with great people like Father Kinley, whom I have been constantly listening during various videos. Also, nice meeting back our dear Roshan. So thanks a lot for this opportunity. Since Pope Francis speaks and supports a lot the rights of migrants, I feel in a way consoled, because I too belong to the class of migrants who migrated from Kerala to Gujarat. My father came to Ahmedabad, Gujarat around the year 1975 after his 10th standard, and he started working here in a steel company. My mother came to Gujarat from Kerala after her nursing studies, and she was working in the primary health center. So I grew up in Gujarat in the city called Ahmedabad. When I look back today, I see the hand of God in every phase of my life, through which I am here today as a Jesuit. First and foremost, I see the hand of God in giving me birth in a family where prayer was given the top priority, and especially devotion to Our Lady was very prominent. The intensity of prayer in my family increased after my 5th standard because of my dad, who experienced healing from his intense toothache. He was suffering from a toothache for many years till 1991, when a team from Pota had come under the leadership of one Father Matthew. Father Matthew announced my father's name, and that night he got healed from his sickness. I was witness to this incident, and that was one of the first incidents which inspired me to follow this Lord who healed my father. The effects of the healing could be seen in his prayer life, my father's prayer life. My parents from that day used to get up at 4:30 in the morning, say their prayers, and then we were woken up at 5 to say the Holy Rosary. Similarly, we had half an hour prayer even in the evenings at 9 before meals. Prayer was never compromised by my parents, especially from that day when my father experienced healing. Secondly, I see the hand of God in sending me to a convent school run by the Saint Anne Sisters of Providence. In those days, there were many sisters in the school, which was a great plus point. The Catholic students were given a lot of care, and especially the catechism classes were very much important. The sisters used to ask many a times during the catechism classes that who wants to become a priest or a nun? And my innocent hand used to go up because I wanted to impress them without knowing that one day I will surely become a priest. Apart from the school hours, the sisters used to constantly watch out how we behave and sit during the Mass. We were sure to get some scoldings if we misbehaved. Thirdly, I see the hand of God in bringing Father Terence Lobo, a Jesuit, to my parish as the parish priest when I was growing. I would say the first moment of spark of my vocation came when I met Father Terence. As a little boy, I used to get fascinated by the vestments of the priest when he celebrated the Mass. I remember I also used to put a long towel on myself and used to imitate celebrating the Mass at home. And my younger brother used to enact as my altar boy. Also the warmth that he showed, Father Terence showed, when he came after the Mass and wished my friends and me, inspired me that I want to be like him. He shared the same warmth of people of every age, whether it was old, young, or middle-aged. He had a special affection for the youth in the parish. There was a great rush to be an altar server or to be in the youth group during his time. I remember almost hundreds of youth and young boys wanted to be altar servers and in the youth group. Father Terence involved us and made us active in all these groups. He used to also give us thin books on Jesuit saints to read. And also he used to give us pocket calendars, which was prepared by the Gujarat Sahitya Prakash Anand that time. All these were little things, but it inspired me because I saw a priest who really cared for us and who was interested in our growth. There were also many other things about him that fascinated me about him. He used to constantly recite the rosary near the church whenever he was free. He used to pray alone in the church, which I witnessed many a times. And most importantly, his regular visits to the families, for which he used to take boys of that particular area wherever he visited. And whenever he visited my area, he used to often take me with him. He knew every family by name, where they stayed, which lane or which chawl they stayed, everything he knew. I would say he was one of the rare non-Malayalis, non-Keralites, who could pronounce all the Malayali house names in his parish. That was not at all any small achievement from him. I was fascinated by his personality, and it was looking at him that I decided I wanted to be a priest like him. And fourthly, I see the hand of God in taking me to my first mission trip to a tribal mission station in South Gujarat when I was in the 10th standard. Under the guidance of Father Lance de Cruz, who currently is the principal of the college here, and a few other Jesuits, we were taken to a mission station called Jankhwa. It was truly an adventurous trip where not only I saw the hard work, commitment, and love of the Jesuits for the Adivasi people, but I also saw the equal warmth the Adivasi people gave to the fathers and sisters in that area. And because of this mutual love relationship between the Jesuits and the people, we too all got a great welcome, and our stay was amazing in my first mission tour in Jankwao. Here again, I felt a strong pull towards the Jesuit way of life. These were some of the most important events that inspired me to a Jesuit way of life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Father Simon. You've really jotted down the points well, very chronologically. And the 4 points that you narrowed down your entire journey to, thank you so much for that. Usually we have about 7 to 8 minutes of sharing, and then we open it up for questions. I'm sure there are not many questions which will question your vocation as such, but then there may be some queries. If the others or in the panel, if they have any queries, then we could take it up with Father Simon. You could raise your hand and then feel free to engage Father Simon so that this is not a one-way conversation. I could wait for a few moments. So, Father, let me break the ice here and ask you, a home away from home in Gujarat, how has that been for you, especially with regard to vocation promotion works in the current situation? Of course, it's a challenge, no doubt, but where do you place yourself and where do you find the hand of God working in your life right now?
Well, as I said, I was brought up in Ahmedabad, Gujarat itself. So I'm already familiar with the state of Gujarat. I would say more than Kerala, I am much more at home in Gujarat because I am brought up here. Well, as you know, the whole Western zone, whether it is Bombay, Pune, Goa, and Gujarat, all of us are really struggling for vocations, and we depend a lot on the other zones for vocation. So I just took over this vocation promotion work last February, and as my neighboring provinces struggle, we also struggle a lot with the local vocations. We get very few local vocations, but still we are trying our best, conducting various camps and visiting people. And together with that, I also have a good number of vocation promoters who are working in other states of India. So they are also trying their best. Since I've just taken over, hopefully, and ultimately it is the work of God. I just have to cooperate with him. We hope and pray that we could get more vocations to our province.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Father Simon. Are there any other questions for Father Simon before we move to the next speaker?
There were also other questions that was given to me. What is it attracted me to the Jesuits? I suppose that will be taken later, right?
Yes, Father, but if you feel that's something that you would want to address right now, you're free to take 1 or 2 questions, the ones which have been sent to you.
Okay, as I said that, firstly, it is the personality and selfless life of Father Terence Lobo that attracted me. And secondly, it was my mission experience in Jankwao and later in Fulwadi that really inspired me to the society. And together with Father Terence, there was one more person I was constantly in touch as a young boy. That was Father Lancey de Cruz, who was a vocation promoter at that time. And I used to regularly meet him, and he used to guide me and clarify many of my doubts towards the Jesuit way of life. And thirdly, what inspired me was the excellent institutions the Jesuit institutions that really worked in Gujarat, like St. Xavier's Loyola Hall College. So striving for excellence of these institutions also inspired me to join the Jesuits. And finally, I should surely mention the friendly ambience that I received whenever I went to some of our Jesuit institutions, which consists of brothers like Premal Jyoti or the novitiate that was in Gandhinagar in Sugar. In these places, I met so many brothers of my age, and they were very friendly and really made me felt at home. Thus, together with these two fathers and other fathers, I was also inspired by many of the scholastic brothers who are more or less of my age, and they also inspired me equally. So thank you.
Yeah, wonderful, Father Thomas, wonderful. The importance of people in our lives can never be discounted for. And let's take a moment and pray for Father Simon, not just because he has shared a part of himself with us, but then for his future works ahead of him, especially inspiring the younger generation to look up to this way of life, a life that all of us have chosen. Let's pause for a moment, thanking God for Father Simon and praying for his works. Thank you. Dear viewers and guests, we move from this silence all the way to the Queen of the Hills, Darjeeling. We have the Socius to the Novice Master, Father Roshan Kiro, and he has done his theology studies in Canada, and he's just back and doing a good job at the novitiate. So Father Roshan, I welcome you on behalf of the Digital Jesuits and this initiative, the 4th edition of A Calling, and I request you to speak for about 7 to 8 minutes regarding how your journey has been thus far.
Real Paul, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my experience, especially as Jesuit, my vocation to religious life. First of all, I am grateful to all the coordinators of Digital Jesuits for inviting me to be one of the panelists for this evening, sharing with for the Kinley, for the Simon, and of course, Jimmy is not present. Yes, today I am proud Jesuit priest, and I am convinced that I have joined the Society of Jesus, which is made up of simple and yet extraordinary human beings and not of angels. Becoming a Jesuit was my childhood dream, and as priest, I also wanted to be a physician priest. Only when I grew up, I realized that I was born in a poor family and my parents would not be able to send me to good colleges where I could be a physician or a surgeon. But I was quite sure that I had convinced that no one would stop me from becoming a priest. And the spark of becoming a priest grew up from my childhood onwards, since I participated almost every year to priestly ordinations in my parish. I come from a Ringari parish, which is in Simdega diocese in Jharkhand. And it is also known as the land of the bishops, since there have been almost 7 bishops from that parish. And so participating every year, the ordination ceremonies, and at times I have participated almost 13 or 14 of them being ordained. So that was the moment I used to be wondering, what if one day I would also join those group? And I guess the spark of my vocation to the priesthood was enkindled during those moments where I witnessed. And I was attracted to the Society of Jesus by looking at their total dedication and selfless service in Ringari. Since I studied, I grew up there, and I wanted to be like them in some way. And my mother also inspired me to be a priest, because she was the one who was nurturing my desire of becoming a priest. And almost every moment she reminded me of my desire. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2001 as I was preparing myself for my matriculation exam. And she expired on Friday, and my exam supposed to begin on Monday, just 2 days after she expired. And after the burial, I went to Simdega to write my matriculation exam, and which I gave without even studying. Not a single moment I opened up the books, but I gave the exams which I had studied earlier. But I was surprised to see the results that I was one of the top students who passed that year. And after 12th, I shared my desire to become a Jesuit with my uncle, priest Gabriel Kulu, and he suggested me to join the diocese seminary so that I might be of some help to the family, since I was the eldest in the family. But I told him that if I wanted to be a priest, I would be a Jesuit and not a diocesan. And he respected my desire and supported me and became a great mentor. But unfortunately, he succumbed to COVID-19 on 7th of May, 2021, this year, at the age of 53. He belonged to Purnia Diocese. Although becoming a Jesuit was my childhood desire, and becoming a missionary in Darjeeling, away from my home, also based on an incident. In 1996, when I was in grade 6, my school came to Darjeeling, but my mother was so protective of me and she did not allow. And my friends came, and when they went back, they shared what they had seen. And that was the desire I wanted to be in Darjeeling. And soon after my grade 12, I wanted to join the Jesuits, so I came. And I came not knowing whether I was coming to join the Jesuit or diocesan or whatever congregation, because I took the bus from Simdega, and which was coming to Siliguri. And it happened to be Jesuit Formation House in Matigara. And that's how I ended up to be a candidate in Matigara. And today I am a proud Jesuit. And one of the things that attracts me is especially my aspects or things that give me a sense of fulfillment is my personal relationship with God. I am convinced that it is God who has called me to live this way of life and serve him in and through serving the people of God. The other aspect is the freedom and ample opportunities for ongoing formation. And as I have been given opportunities which is beyond my imaginations. From the moments I finished my novitiate, I have been sent to the places where I could be instrumental in many ways, as well as to prepare myself to be a helping hand to our brothers and sisters. And I was given the opportunity to go out for my studies to abroad, especially in Canada, where I finished my first cycle as well as second cycle in theology. And that is the opportunity. And I have joined the Society of Jesus, which is worldwide. And so I belong a universal society where I could go freely and join with anyone. And the third opportunity or the aspect that I cherish is community that I share with my friends. Because it is community which nurtures me. It is community that gives me the sense of belonging. And in my opening sentence, I said that I joined the society which comprises of not of angels, but of simple and yet extraordinary human beings. And I said this because this is challenge. At times I feel that challenge to, it is not to my vocation, but I feel disturbed when a sense of lack of confidentiality that I find in my relationship in the society. And that is, I'm sure, as it is very common realities that we find in our religious life. And consequently, I am convinced that the young people feel or hesitate to open up or trust in the authorities or superiors. Another challenge that I experience is my own situation, my family members, and oftentimes it is where I feel that I tend to suffer with messianic syndrome. The idea that I can solve all problems, which is impossible, but this is where I feel that yes, I have this a task to do. I want to solve this. I want to solve that problem. And that's where I feel that this is, which is beyond my imaginations, beyond my capacities. And yet, this is a source where I can feel that, yes, it is because of God's grace that I'm here, although the life that I have chosen is full of challenges, and yet it is possible because so many people have given their life and have gone before and shown, and they have become model for my life today, including Constant Livers. That is my role model among so many, but who really inspires me to be a missionary, not in my own place in Jharkhand, where more than 4 provinces are there, and yet I didn't join one of the provinces there, but I became a missionary in Darjeeling. So this is some of my experiences. This is some of my insights, which I want to share. I wanted to share today. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Father Roshan. Once again, at the outset, our deepest condolences for your personal loss. It must have been difficult when COVID was no longer, a piece in the news, but when it becomes a personal jolt, it is definitely a shattering moment. But at the same time, you brought out so beautifully how the Lord has been active despite all your peaks and troughs. And I'm sure the younger ones who are part of this panel and are watching far and wide will be able to understand the difficulties of being a Jesuit priest, as you yourself have mentioned, internal as well as external challenges. I would now like to open it up for a few questions, clarifications, or if you would like to add to what Father Roshan has said, I keep the floor open for anybody. So, to break the silence once again, I remember Father Roshan mentioning about the number of opportunities that he has gotten to grow, and I, for one, know that during his years of formation, Father Kinley was the provincial. So, I'm not asking Father Kinley to begin his sharing, but let me throw the ball to Father Kinley and ask him what he finds wonderful in Roshan, or how he has observed his vocation from close quarters, how he would like to supplement what he has already said. Father Kinley?
Very interesting question. Roshan was, for me, a very frank and very open person. As provincial, I enjoyed being his provincial. He had great confidence in me, and I trusted him very much. And he was always open to new vistas, new challenges. And he did so well in Canada that the Provincial of Canada especially requested me to allow him to do his second cycle. And he won the hearts of all the Canadian Jesuits and the people there, and did a wonderful, he kept up the the image of the Indian Jesuits in Canada so well. I was so proud of him. And I was so happy that my last job as provincial was to be at his ordination.
Wonderful. I lost connection there for a moment. Sorry. Thank you, Father Kinley. Father Simon, are you still there?
Yes, Yes.
Yeah, Father, if you could see you, I've got this lateral entry in the form of a question.
Yeah.
And it's rather humorous, I must say. They're saying the Jesuits are not far away from trouble. So, and you deal with youngsters a lot. So, has there been any personality trait that has gotten you most in trouble in the Society of Jesus? That's the question.
Well, I have not yet encountered such. Since I just got into vocation promotion, so I'm still to taste all these troubling traits.
On a lighter note, thank you, Father Simon. Yeah. Now we'll just take a break from this pattern that we are following, and I would like to request the IT team, who's there very much present with us. We will shift our focus to listen to what Father Jimmy has to say. I'm sure Joshua and the group are ready with Father Jimmy's presentation. Joshua, there we have it. Let's pay attention to what Father Jimmy is sharing here. Many of us know him as a great erudite scripture scholar. He has been the dean of the seminary at Gujarat Vidyadeep, and many Jesuits have, had an encounter with him. A man of very tall character, former rector of Premal Jyoti, and everybody has a good word to say about him. So we are happy that we get to listen to him, even if he's not there in our presence. We can continue to pray for him as we listen to what he has to say.
My vocation to priesthood in the Society of Jesus constitutes a process having 5 stages that I narrate in response to the invitation that I have received with humility, in gratitude for the greater glory of God. The first stage of sowing the seed of my vocation coincides with my childhood. Every day, going for the Holy Eucharist along with the parents and the siblings, participating actively in it by becoming the altar boy, daily recitation of the family rosary at night, receiving once a week the sacrament of reconciliation arranged by the Jesuit school where I studied, and constant interactions with the Jesuits and the religious nuns whose premises were very close to my residence. All these were preparing the soil for sowing the seed of my vocation. I was in the 6th standard, 11 years of age. After daily rosary, there was a custom that everyone spent some time in silence for the personal prayer. I went out that night of home and strolling in front of my home in the dark night, and a deep desire just passed through my inner being. Become a priest. The second stage of nurturing the seed of my vocation coincides with my puberty and adolescence. The spiritual activities which were carried out at home as the tradition go on. In the peer group, vocation was never the topic of our conversation. We talked of the game cricket, of films, of politics, of complementary sex. However, we were students of Jesuit institution, and therefore in the vacation there was scout camp, study camp, work camp, personality development camp. And in these camps, fathers, sisters, eminent persons were invited who were addressing us and directing us how to make concrete contribution to the world around us, to the society around us, by our lives. So this spiritual activities at home and inputs of this sort nurtured the seed of my vocation. The third stage of uncertainty coincides with my youth. I finished my secondary school certificate examination. I had no clear indication which direction to go. So I entered the preparatory science, that is the first year of college. I just started studying, but before the preparatory science year ends, the state of Gujarat, to which I belong, was engulfed in the stir of anti-reservation, forcing closing down of all the institutions. After 3 months, when the stir abated, when the colleges were reopened, we were given two options: appear for the exam or accept a mass promotion and go to first year Bachelor of Science class. I had decided to change my field, so I opted for the exam. The free time that I had during the stir and hard work that I had put in paid dividends. That result activated a dormant desire that I had pushed in one corner of my heart to go for medicine. I applied, but I did not get into the merit. My name was not there. So next alternative was to go for dairy technology, job-oriented program, where Indian Council of Agriculture Research, New Delhi, was giving a full-fledged scholarship for 4-year studies. And I opted for that. The studies were difficult, and while I'm doing dairy technology, a constant thought is at the back of my mind. You want to run away from the hardships of the studies. You want to run away from the troubles of the world. Therefore, you want to become a priest. Just to combat this thought, I decided to put off the idea of becoming a priest and fully concentrated on my studies. I graduated. The fourth stage of making a decision coincides with a person who is at the crossroad, not knowing which way to go. 3 institutions came forward giving me the job: Amul, my own college where I studied, and National Dairy Development Board. I decided to take that job which gives me the appointment letter first. Amul was the first. I was accepted by Amul as a technical officer for the probation of 12 months. These 12 months were crucial. I had to decide either to become a priest or become a lay person. I did not know the Ignatian method of making election. I did not even hear what is discernment of spirits. But one thing was sure, I was in constant communion with God because it was very personal. My future was at stake. I had to decide. Towards the end of these 12 months, I had a brief interaction with the responsible persons in the Society of Jesus of Gujarat province. 30th of July, 1979. My probation with Amul ends, and Amul is now going to transmute me from a probationer to the permanent staff. While Amul was preparing the paper, I prepared my resignation paper and I put it on the table of the production manager. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The same evening at 5 o'clock, I entered into the novitiate at Premal Jyoti in Ahmedabad. Lord, I do not want to turn back. Fifth stage of perseverance coincides with my present state as a priest in the Society of Jesus of Gujarat province for the greater glory of God.
Dear Father Jimmy, I'm sure when you will be able to hear us, I want to place on record how profoundly grateful we are to your deep insights and your sharing. Started with a small, still, silent voice, and all the way to the crossroads, as the great author says, taking the road less traveled made all the difference for you. Thank you so much, Father Jimmy. And we take a moment to pray for both Roshan as well as Father Jimmy. In our prayer, we are also grateful to those youngsters who have made it possible by recording his testimony and sharing it with us, to the assistancy and the world at large. I'm sure in the future, when we look back to this moment, we would all have been enriched how a person like Father Jimmy has left behind his material progress and accepted the will of the Lord. Let us pause and pray for Father Jimmy, also for Father Roshan, whom we listen to. Dear friends, we now move on from a person like Father Jimmy, who heard the whisperings telling him, you are running away from your responsibilities, to another great Jesuit, a stalwart in his own right, whom I know personally to have faced hardships head on. So to the land of the dragon, the kingdom of Bhutan, Father Kinley, who is also the apostolic vicar. We know his laurels. He was the former provincial. He was the principal and rector of St. Joseph's School, North Point. But I would not like to reduce it only to those formal introductions. He also happens to be my principal when I was a young boy pursuing my higher secondary at North Point. And I can say that if I'm here, it is because of him, because of his vision, and because he saw in every person that in this individual, the best is yet to come. So Father Kinley, I thank you for being here with us, and I hand over this short time that you have to give us an insight into your journey.
Thank you, Roel. Thank you. And I was very happy to hear the stories of Father Jimmy and the two other young Jesuits, their stories. And, my story is very, very different from the three sharings. Not that it is better, but very different, because I was not born in a Catholic family. I didn't have any Christian background. I was born in a Buddhist family. But, and then you mentioned and you read the Christmas poem that I wrote. And I have a deep love for Christmas, because it is actually through a Christmas card that I came very close, or rather I came to know about Jesus. When I was very little, and that was way back in the late 50s, early 60s, and I was a small boy, my sister used to receive Christmas cards from her friends, and she was studying in a school, in a Protestant school in India. and her friends used to send her Christmas cards. And on those Christmas cards, I saw the Holy Family. I saw Mary, Joseph, baby Jesus, and the shepherds and the stars and the angels. And I was very fascinated by those little Christmas cards. And I wanted to know who was that baby that was so cute in that crib, in that manger, as I come to know later. And my love story with Jesus began with that little baby Jesus when I was myself so very little. And when my turn came to go to school, to a Jesuit school in India, in a boarding school, there I came to realize and connect that this little baby Jesus was the same one which was on the cross in the schools that, in the Catholic schools that I went to. And my curiosity was able to connect, of course, with the help of my teachers and nuns and priests and friends, that this little baby Jesus was the same of Jesus on the cross and his entire life story. So I was very fascinated. So my calling has been twofold. Simultaneously, my calling to be a Christian and also calling to that great desire also to be a priest, to be a Jesuit. So it was going hand in hand for many years, and it was not till 1985, 1974 rather, I'm talking about my vocation. My baptism, I was born in 1958, but it was not till 1974 that finally I took the plunge and asked the fathers to baptize me. Of course, I was studying in a Jesuit school where Royal Paul himself said he studied. I studied in the same Jesuit school, St. Joseph's School, North Point, Darjeeling. But the Jesuits there at that time refused to baptize me because I came from Bhutan and they were very afraid to displease the king of Bhutan and the government of Bhutan by having to baptize me. Anyway, I went to the Salesians who were at that time also working in Bhutan, and the Salesians were very kind. They obliged me, and I got baptized on the 18th of May, 1974. And I was so fascinated with Jesus that I used to read a lot. And reading is what actually brought me to know Jesus more and more and come to love him and follow him in that sense. And I was not, in that sense, I continued after my baptism. I went to school. I went to Bangalore for my 11 and 12. Then I went to Bombay St. Xavier's College for my graduation. And I was really impressed by the Jesuits, not only of Darjeeling, but I had very close connections with the Jesuits in Bangalore, Karnataka, and very close to the Jesuits in Bombay at that time. These Jesuits of Karnataka, Bombay, and of course my own Darjeeling Jesuits, they really impressed me very much. So I had a desire to be a Jesuit. And at the same time, I was the first MBA from Bhutan. I finished my graduation, post-graduation, and I started working for a member of a royal family in Bhutan. I had the world ahead of me, but something in me kept nagging me, saying that I should also be a priest or become a Jesuit. And but many Jesuits who were very close to me, including, for example, our former Assistant General, Father Julian Fernandez, people like him, when he was my principal, he actually told me, Kinley, I think you should not join the Jesuits. You may be confusing your own vocation to be a Christian with your priestly vocation. You are the only Catholic, only person from Bhutan. Why don't you get married and settle down and have big family so that the Catholic Church will have big numbers in Bhutan? So these were temptations. But there was something in my heart which was nagging me that I should also join. While I was working, this thought kept coming back because my parents, my family were after me to get married since I'd finished all my studies, and they now wanted me to, as the eldest son, they wanted me to settle down. But I just couldn't say yes to them. And I began to pray to God, and I said, God, please, you should be satisfied that I became a Christian, I became Catholic. Please don't ask me to be a priest. Please don't ask me to be a Jesuit. But, the thought was nagging me all the time. So finally I said, God, if you really want me to come, I'm not asking for a big sign like Teresa of Lisieux. She asked, and then she got snowed in France in May. I said, I don't want such a big miracle, but a small miracle to show me that you really want me to be a priest. And God seriously answered my prayer, just like how he sent the angel Gabriel during this Christmas tide to Mother Mary, and she said, behold, the handmaid of the Lord. God actually sent an angel to me to tell me about my vocation. It was in 1985 when I was traveling as a businessman from Hyderabad to Calcutta. On the flight, I had the privilege and great blessing to be sitting next to Mother Teresa, Saint Mother Teresa now. And in short, she convinced me that I should be a Jesuit, I should be a priest. And that night, when I landed in Calcutta and I was checking into my hotel, I decided that night that yes, I will say yes to God. And within few months after that, I joined the Jesuit novitiate. And from then onwards, now, when I look back, 35 years as a Jesuit, and this year I celebrated 25 years as a Jesuit priest, I have no regrets. It has been a very, very happy journey. I am extremely grateful to God, to the church, to the Society of Jesus, and my life has been wonderful. There have been, as Ruel said, lots of hardships, lots of difficulties. And even now in Bhutan, as I work, being one of the first Catholics, the only priest, I face a lot of difficulties, of oppositions, and but it has never bothered me. It has always been such a great joy to know Jesus, and my life has been what Father Arupe once said, it's a matter of falling in love, staying in love, and it makes all the difference. And that has been my life in short. Thank you, Roel.
Thank you so much, Father. Indeed, short, but not devoid of definitely those spiritual promptings, which you have always been keen to share with youngsters. May I request anybody who has a question for Father Kinley to, express it right now? And we are right on schedule. We do not have a paucity of time. So I request you to indulge him with a few questions. In fact, Father Simon, Father Roshan, and Father Kinley, all of them are there. Yeah, and you can pose your questions to any of them. Yes, Father Simon, I see your finger up.
Yes, Father Kinley, thank you very much for your wonderful sharing. I also saw the video that was done during the last GC about your vocation story. That also was very, very inspiring. And also I occasionally read also some of the articles that comes out. So also my companions have spoken a lot about your vocation and also your life. So it has been a very, very inspiring journey for you and also for us when we listen about your vocation story. My question is a little bit out of your vocation. Right now, as you're working in Bhutan, as the apostolic envoy of the Pope, how has been your experience, Father, and what is the situation of Christianity in Bhutan? That is my question to you.
The Catholic population in Bhutan is less than 100. But I keep telling the people of Bhutan, don't worry about numbers. We go for quality. Even if we are very few, but we are good Catholics, loyal to Christ and to the church, God will bring great blessings to our country in Bhutan. So don't be afraid don't feel cowed down because we are small in numbers and we are not recognized as, officially Bhutan is a Buddhist country. We are Christians. We are not recognized as a group in that sense officially, but we are allowed to practice our religion quietly in our own houses. And I am here at this moment in a remote part of, not in the capital. I'm going to be here in this place called Gilifu for the next 2 months because I have about 50 Catholics here. Sorry, we got disconnected. Anyway, I think if I am audible, I was saying that I'm very happy to be here with another small group of Catholics, about 50 of them during this Christmas season. I need to catechize the children. I need to marry some of them who have not been blessed. And all this priestly ministry gives me great joy.
Thank you.
Yes, Father Simon. Thank you, Father Kinley. Any other questions for any of our panelists? All right, then.
Maybe
now that I
just maybe.
Roshan, yes.
Just a word of appreciation to Father Kinley for being such a wonderful person, and also for the inspiration, being inspiration for me especially. And if, as the Society of Jesus, in the Society of Jesus, the troubles, the challenges I have been in my life, and it was for the provincial, just Kinley at that moment convinced me in a way. He gave me the opportunities to experience or to see the reality of life, not in one angle, but in different perspective. And if I survive, so to say, in the society, it is because of Father Kinley, and also the opportunities and that I have received and I got, and also to go to Bhutan and to make my retreat, and also to offer mass there as young priest. That was also a great a privilege for me, especially to see the reality of life there, and also the number, as Father said, less than 100, and yet so vibrant. So thank you for sharing such a wonderful witnessing, being the witness.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Father Roshan, for those kind words. Father Kinley, were you able to hear?
Yes, in between I got disconnected for a little while, but that's okay.
Right.
Roshan always has good words for me.
All right. Dear friends, I see that, there are great people in audience. I see Joshua D'Souza, I see Father Lawrence Mania, Father Cherian, Father Royston. See, may I request all of you, if you're in a position to, unmute yourselves and show us your wonderful faces. We could have this small moment together. Those of, yeah, wonderful. I can see Joshua, yes. Hi, Father Cherian. I see others, Swati, Father Royston. Wonderful, wonderful to have all of you here. Great, but I don't see anybody unmuting themselves. Are you shy to speak?
Hi.
Hi, Father Cherian. Would you like to say something to our panelists today?
Yes, it's not a question as such, but it was very inspiring once again to listen to Father Kinley's vocation story. And then I did not have much of that kind of struggle to join the society, although I had other struggles even during my formation days. But on and off, Father Kindle, whenever I talk to him as a young priest and even later as my provincial, it was Father Kindle, very relieving and refreshing to sustain myself and journey on in the society. So it was wonderful to listen to Father Kindle's vocation story. Of course, I just signed in. I was at the confession being Advent season. All of us were at the church. So I just joined 15-20 minutes ago. Thank you, Father Kindle, for inspiring a lot of youngsters and mentoring them throughout your rectorship or as provincial of Darjeeling. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Father Cherian, for sharing this off the cuff, and to other members who have attended this sharing session. Josh, do we have a formal vote of thanks?
Oh, well, the one who was supposed to give has a power cut. But I would like to say this evening has been really mesmerizing for me. Kind of when I listen to each of the speakers speaking about their vocation, you can see how beautifully God is working through each and every person. The way of calling is so beautiful that each person's vocation call is unique in its own way, and the challenge is for us how we answer it. It's a struggle for most of us to say that yes, because I still remember my vocation promoter when he told me that when we say yes, we have to take that leap of blind faith, and that's where we struggle because we are humans. We have our own weaknesses. We do not know that's how they say in existentialism. They say that life is very meaningless because we have a lot of freedom, but the freedom is like a burden on us. So we have to make a choice. We have to make a choice, and the choice sometimes may turn out to be good, sometimes no. But that's how God works in our life. We may not be sure that we will go the long run, but each day, if we take it meaningfully and serving for what is our identity and with the whole purpose, I feel life will be a beautiful journey. Yeah.
Grateful to you, Joshua, for your insight. Wonderful. Gentlemen, especially the ones in the panel, I thank you once again on behalf of the Digital Jesuits of the Jesuit Conference of South Asia. I thank all the people who have made this happen, those in the IT cell, those who have been working from different parts of the country. In fact, this congregation in the cloud, as I would like to call it, has brought us all the way from the jewel in the west to the land of the Druk Yul, land of the Kingdom Dragon, and Darjeeling in between, Queen of the Hills. And it has brought us together in such a beautiful way. And as Margaret Silf says, it is so amazing that, you know, a stray cannonball that hit a soldier 500 years ago continues to knock us off our perch even today. And it's the fag end of 2021. And we remember that cannonball moment and make sense of our own lives. How splendid it is to be sons of Ignatius, trying to imbibe his charism. And Father Simon put it so well, the importance of people in our lives. And as he continues to inspire the young through what he has received freely, he gives freely. Then we heard Father Roshan, he again dealing with another set of youngsters wishing to join the Society of Jesus with full zest and gusto, the saints in the making, and the profound words of Father Jimmy, the still whispers beckoning him to leave everything aside and to follow God, and the number of lives he has touched, truly inspiring. And lastly, Father Kinley, who has given to us the share of his life, which has been inspired by people like Mother Teresa, and he continues to carry on that legacy in his own way. So I thank the panelists individually. We continue to pray for each one of us present here, and may we end this sharing A Calling, our Cannonball Moments, the fourth episode, with the words of St. Paul. Let us take a moment thanking God and remind ourselves that there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit, and there are varieties of services, but the same Lord, and there are varieties of activities, but it is the same God who activates all of them in everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. This is Ruel Paul on behalf of the Digital Jesuits, Jesuit Conference of South Asia, signing off from Bangalore. Thanks to every one of you.